Well, good morning. It's my privilege again to start doing the message of hope on Wednesdays, Fridays, Mondays. And Helen has done such a fantastic job of walking us through the book of Philippians all through the month of November. But now, can we believe it? Last month of the year, we are in December and Christmas trees can now go up, carols can start playing, and Christmas is here. So I want to share with you over this month just some reflections on Christmas, maybe do some stuff which is a little bit more left field. And today I want to start, is Christmas cancelled? Well, thank you. No, there's been so much discussion. Will we be allowed Christmas? Can we have Christmas? Is Christmas cancelled? The media have just gone crazy about it. But the government's decided, no, we can have Christmas if a bit different. But it was just interesting as all this sort of furore was going on. Christmas is cancelled. I asked myself the question, can Christmas be cancelled? What is Christmas? You know, what to you is Christmas? So I just thought, well, rather than look at what is Christmas? Well, Christmas literally, defined, if you like, in our dictionaries and in our society is the festival celebrating the birth of Jesus. That literal word, Christmas, means Christ's Mass, or it is the Mass, that it's the sacrament done in memory of Jesus being born. In the early years, actually, Christmas or the birth of Christ was never celebrated. It was Easter. And so the main holiday for the Christians and their festival would have been Easter. And the birth of Jesus was not really considered that relevant. But in the 4th century, church officials decided they needed to institute the birth of Christ as a holiday. Unfortunately, the Bible doesn't give us a time and a date when he was born. And this is one of the things that people who are against Christmas, celebrating Christmas, tend to use. And in our history, the Puritans were all against it because they said, it's not who says it's the 25th of December. And actually, quite a bit of evidence says it most probably wasn't a wintertime event because the shepherds were on the hills. And apparently, according to the traditions of that time, the shepherds used to sleep out on the hills when the ewes had had their lambs. So the shepherds didn't usually sleep the whole year round. It was in the springtime, in the lambing season. So some say Christ was most probably born in spring. Anyway, lots of controversies. I want to make you think about it. But finally, Pope Julius I decided, no, I am going to make December the 25th the Christmas day to celebrate the birth of Jesus. And he slightly did it to be an alternative tradition to the very pagan festival that always used to happen at the winter solstice of Saturnalia. And so this was a big time of debauchery, drinking and just orgies. And so the Pope decided to give an alternative, a little bit like, Halloween parties and Hallelujah parties. Also in Egypt, in 432 AD, there had been a tradition to celebrate the Feast of Nativity. And so this Feast of Nativity started in Egypt 432 AD, then actually came across to England in the 6th century, then into Scandinavia in the 8th century, and in fact, America, I'm sorry, because you're such a young nation, it wasn't until 1870, June the 26th, in fact, 1870, that they decided to make a federal holiday of Christmas. So today, as we know, December 25th is Christmas Day. Is it a sacred religious holiday? Well, it's certainly become a cultural and commercial phenomena. If you've got Greek or Russian or Egyptian friends, especially if they're from an Orthodox background, you'll find they don't choose the 25th of December at all. For them, their day is about 13 or 14 days after us. So it's usually the first week of January. Why? because they use a different calendar to set their religious things. And so we use the Gregorian calendar and we celebrate 25th of December. But those from an Orthodoxy background, Eastern churches, will use the Julian calendar. So what is Christmas per se? What counts in Christmas? Well, Christmas has become this big tradition of exchanging gifts, decorating Christmas trees, attending church, singing carols, serving meals to the poor, having time with families and friends, and of course we have Santa Claus in the middle of it. So, you know, there's always been controversy about Christmas, and even today, I'm sure as Christians, many of us have different sort of affections or hates about this Christmas season. And so, you know, Christmas is cancelled. Some people are like, it's a good thing, far too commercialised, we can do without it. Other people, no, I love that time of giving gifts and family. But can I tell you something? Christmas was cancelled. You know, in 1659 to 1681, Christmas was cancelled. So even in 2020, it wouldn't have been original. The celebration of Christmas became outlawed by the Puritans. You see, these pious Puritans who sailed from England in 1630 and arrived in the Massachusetts Bay as these fired up Christians brought something with them which maybe would be surprising for us, especially since they were such devout Christmas. They were determined and carried a deep contempt for Christmas. And so one of the first things they did was cancel Christmas. You see, their understanding of December the 25th was a total, complete reversal of what we do. The Puritans always made sure they kept all the shops open, they kept all their schools open, and it enforced that you carried on normal business on the 25th of December, Christmas Day. And they made sure all churches were closed. They were determined to cancel Christmas. You see, after these Puritans overthrew King Charles in 1647, one of their first acts of business in Parliament was to ban Christmas. And Parliament decreed that December the 25th should be cancelled as a day of festival and be a day of fasting and humiliation for the English, on a day to account for all their sins. And so these Puritans, when they left for America, were determined to make sure they brought this tradition for this pure new nation. And so in 1659, in the General Court of Massachusetts Bay, it became a criminal offence to publicly celebrate this holiday called Christmas, and it was declared, listen, whoever shall be found observing such a day as Christmas with any of the like of abstaining from their labour or work, celebrating with feasting, or any other way of celebration, will be subject to the fine of 5 shillings. So, what is Christmas? Here's a good, that will make you think. Christmas has been cancelled. So there was an author, Stephen Neisenberg, the author of The Battle for Christmas. He said, the theology and the rowdy celebrations that began marking the holiday of Christmas in the 1600s so offended the lovers of Jesus that when they gained power, they thought, we are cancelling this. Also, what really offended many of these Puritans was the pagan roots. And they had taken note that the Pope had just instituted December the 25th as an alternative to this massive pagan festival, Saturnalia. And so this was an ancient Greek festival. It was actually called a festival of lights, and it was really known for a time of drinking, drunkenness, partying, gluttony, overeating, just where all boundaries were just let to go, and a lot of sexual sin. And so the Puritan minister, Increase Mather, said, Christ was not born in December the 25th. And just because the heathens celebrate Natalia and this time is kept in Rome, we cannot now have this just metamorphosed into our Christian traditions. Knighton went on to say, Puritans believed that Christmas was just basically a pagan custom that the Catholics had borrowed, religiousized a little bit, and then sold as a holiday. They said we will have nothing to do with it. It's nothing to do with Jesus. In fact, Hugh Latimer, someone that we sort of are aware of, especially here in Oxford, since he was graduating, he wrote this: men dishonour Christ more in the 12 days of Christmas than in the 12 months surrounding it. Christmas is not a festival for Jesus. In fact, in the 1600s, they said there is hardly a silent night over Christmas, let alone a holy one. This is a time which befits the rowdy spring breaks rather than a sacred time of remembrance. Christmas revelers use this holiday as a time of excuse. They feast, they drink, they gamble. They indulge in all sorts of licentious and sexual behaviour. Thus, let Christmas be banned. So I don't know what you think. But as I read this and some of the controversy, I thought, well, what are we going to look at for Christmas this year? How can we strip away? And we read some of that, and some of the reason people want Christmas is we want the bars open. We need to have a drunk. We need the office parties. We need to get off. So what should our Christmas be? 1 John chapter 5 verses 1 to 3 says this: everyone who believes that Jesus is the Christ is born of God. And everyone who loves the Father loves the child as well. This is how we know we love the children of God, by loving God and carrying out his commands. In fact, this is the love for God, to keep his commandments, and his commandments are never burdensome. So I wonder if right at the beginning of December, 2nd of December, before we get caught up in the rush, we can just have some reflection. Are there things about our Christmas we need to cancel? I don't believe that it matters too much whether it is the right day or the wrong day, but I do think it does matter how we commemorate that day and what we put at the centre place. So I want to challenge you. Let it be a Christ-centred day. Let it be Christmas. Let it be a sacred time. Let it be a time when you remember him. We need to demonstrate that we are believers of Jesus. This passage in 1 John 5 says, everyone who believes that Jesus. So let's make it a believer's moment. And then it says, if we are believers of Jesus, then we demonstrate love. And we demonstrate love by showing obedience. So I wonder if in your Christmas season, there are certain ways where you can upgrade your demonstration of your love for Jesus and upgrade your discipline and your obedience. So often Christmas is like, oh, it's kickback. It's my time for ill discipline. And that's what the Puritans hated. They hated the fact that everyone just stopped work, stopped loving God, stopped doing things appropriately, and made it a time for gluttony, drinking, sexual stuff, and just doing things that they wouldn't do normally. So maybe we should cancel some of our Christmas license to do what we want. It should be a time when we don't excuse our poor behaviour. And it should be a time when we overcome poor discipline. It should be a time of greater obedience and a demonstration of greater love. So let that be a provocation. Let me finish this morning with reading Isaiah chapter 9 verse 6. For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful, Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. So what about some of the traditions? Well, I love the tradition of giving gifts at Christmas. Christmas is about an incredible gift. At Christmas time, we were given this gift called Jesus, a baby has been born. You know, I've had the privilege of working with people who have not been able to have children. And when they finally have that baby that has been long promised, long desired, there is celebration. It brings great joy. And so I believe that as we receive this gift of Jesus, there should be a demonstration of the most outrageous joy. So in this Christmas season, think about giving gifts that will evoke incredible joy. I love the careful, intentional giving of gifts, because you see, when you give a gift that's been really thought about and treasured, and the person receives it with the surprise and gratitude, there is something that's released. And so I don't believe it has to be commercial or put us into debt or overwhelm us. But I do love that part of giving gifts. Christmas is a time that we remember God the Father giving us a most incredible gift. So I do love to give gifts. Don't give it because you have to. Give it because you want to. And really ask God to inspire you, infect you with incredible ways to give a gift to provoke an overflow of joy. Let it be a time when we can honour, celebrate the people in our lives, but of course always celebrate that greatest gift. I think also, as I just draw to a close, I just want us to think about how we receive gifts. It is always difficult if you've got someone in your family who says, oh, I don't need anything. Oh, I don't like Christmas. I can't be bothered. Don't give me anything. Because then you feel, well, how can I bless you? How can I show who you are? And sometimes as we get older, we get so, dismissive. Oh, don't bother. I don't want it. I don't need anything. Don't give me gifts. It's just a nuisance. I can't be bothered. And I think that can distract from some of the joy of gifts. So I want to finish with this verse in 2 Corinthians 9, verse 15, and then I want to pray for you. It says, thanks be to God for his indescribable gift. You know, we are so aware that Christmas is a time for giving, but also let's be great receivers. Let's be generous and intentional in our gifts, but let's, more than anything else, let it be a season of incredible gratitude and joy. Oh, wow. Thanks be to my God. You have given me the most indescribable gift, Jesus. Let's pray. So, Father, I thank you that as we just muse and think about this Christmas season, that you will help us make the main thing the main thing. I pray, stir in us, whatever the memories of previous Christmases, an incredible joy. Thanks be to God for this indescribable gift. Well, God really bless you. Have a great day, and God cuddle you and enjoy getting ready for Christmas.